Welcome to week 4 of the Basic Protective Order online course. The next 2 weeks we're going to focus on actually writing order for protection petitions, thinking through how do you make a decision about the petition, what petition to do, and the actual writing of the petition itself. So hopefully by the end of the next couple of weeks you will have a good understanding about whether a person meets the qualifications for an order. You'll feel some comfort level in helping talk through the pros and cons of filing for an order for protection, and you'll also feel have some experience in assisting in the actual writing of the order for protection itself. So last weeks you've been talking about what are the requirements to qualify for a protective order. Do you have the right family household relationship, and has domestic abuse occurred? So these are the 2 qualifiers for an order for protection. I do want to make a note here that these are for initial order for protections. There are different standards if you're seeking an extension of an order for protection, or this is a second or subsequent order for protection against the same person. If you don't have to prove domestic assault or domestic abuse to get an extension of an order or to get a second or subsequent order. For those, you only need to show there's been a violation of the initial order, that there's been stalking and harassment, or you have a reasonable basis to be afraid, or the respondent is getting out of jail or prison. Those are standards and we aren't really going to talk about those. What we're talking about here is seeking an initial or first order for protection. So on any order for protection that you're doing, there are 3 steps. The first is, does the person qualify for an order for protection? Are they a family or household member, and has there been domestic abuse? So if they qualify, the second step is to talk and discuss with them the pros and cons of getting an order for protection. What are potential risks or downsides to getting an order? What are potential benefits or reasons why you might want to have an order for protection? And to really help someone weigh the risks and the benefits and decide whether an order for protection is the right tool for them to use. So what we're asking you to do this week is to view a very short film clip from the movie Enough. It's about 3.5 minutes long. And there's also a short background piece that gives you background information on the parties. So on Slim and on Mitch. So you should read through that background scenario piece, watch the Enough film clip. And then what we want you to do is to think, does Slim qualify for an order for protection? Does she meet the family household definition? Has there been domestic assault? If you find that she qualifies, then think through what are some reasons she might want to get an order for protection. What does she gain? What does she benefit from? And then also think about what are potential risks, things that she should think about potential downsides to securing an order for protection. So we ask you to think about those things, to engage in discussion around those things, and then ultimately, no matter what your conclusion is, you may conclude that Slim, there are lots of risks and downsides and she probably would not want to get an order of protection. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, you're going to decide, or Slim is going to decide she wants to file for an order for protection. And then we're going to ask that you actually complete the order for protection petition form on behalf of Slim. And to actually complete that form and to submit that form both to your discussion group for each other to comment on, and also to submit that to Bev and myself. And as instructors, we'll look through and give you feedback and commentary on the petition form itself. So, other thing I want to make sure that you understand is what is the process? So you meet with somebody, they come in, they say they want an order. You figure out if they qualify for an order, you talk about risks and benefits of the order, and then you actually start the process to get the order. So what is that process? So what the process is, you first have to secure the forms, and you can get the forms a couple of ways. You can either go online to the state court website, and the forms are available right there to download, or you can contact your local court and get the forms from them. And you want to make sure, because not every court uses the state court forms. So you want to check to see what forms your local court uses and use those forms. But they're all fairly similar. So you then complete the forms with the individual. They need to be signed and notarized. They then get filed back with the court, and then they get served on the respondent. So that's the process. So as you listen to the enough film clip, go through the discussion about risks and benefits, and then complete the form. And just a couple of things to think about, a few tips when writing your petition. One is that if you've never looked at them before, you should look at the instruction sheets that come with the Order for Protection petition. It tells you a lot of good information just to know. But it's things like when you are writing the Order for Protection with somebody, the most important piece of the petition is where you describe the domestic abuse. And it's really important that you paint a picture for the court, that you talk in details and not in conclusions. What do I mean by that? So someone may say, we were at home on Saturday evening and Mitch assaulted me. That would be one thing that somebody might say. It's not very descriptive. Instead, you could say, I was at home on Saturday evening with Mitch, and he started to argue with me in the kitchen. He hit me with a closed fist on the left side of my face, leaving a cut. Much more descriptive about what happened. So really looking at those kind of details without getting too wordy and too lengthy in this. The other thing that's important is to note things like any specific threats. So rather than saying, Mitch got in my face and was threatening me, to say, Mitch got up in my face and said, I'm going to slit your throat. Much more descriptive, much more powerful language. So if there's specific threats, specific physical acts, any injuries, damage to property, that kind of information should be included in the petition. The other thing to remember is that this is in the individual victim's words. It's in her voice. And so being careful that what you write in a petition is something that the victim that you're working with feels comfortable with, that this is the way that the victim would talk about it. And so really trying to use the victim's voice. So just a couple of things to think about, and we'll have some back and forth and feedback both within your discussion group